Live on NC Continental Prime tonight. To discuss this is Global Affairs Analyst Carvin Dark. He joins from Washington, D.C. A very warm welcome to you, Carvin, and thanks for joining us on the news.
Good to be here.
Now, Carvin, this is not the first US-Africa Summit. It's been holding every year for quite some time now. What's your assessment of the numerous summits involving African leaders in recent years?
Well, I think it shows us two things. One is that countries like the United States, Russia, China, Japan, several others, European Union, they are recognizing the importance of Africa, economically, politically, culturally, especially with the diaspora communities that are vibrant in each of those countries that I named. So that's one thing that I think is one of the reasons behind it. Now, the other thing, though, and I know this is for the United States case, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to make this more than just a handshake and photograph event, but to actually do something that benefits the United States and the African countries involved. Unfortunately, that second part has been lacking, at least from the United States side in recent years.
Now, Carvin, has any meaningful resolution be achieved from all these summits for African nations? And how much of an impact has the Africa Growth Opportunities Act, AGOA, had on the business relationship between the United States and African countries?
I think there's a lot of potential, and it's not limited to the United States government interaction with the African, delegations that are coming, but also the private sector. I was looking at the agenda, and there are lots of opportunities for private sector, civil society from the visiting countries and the United States to partner and do things that can really help both countries. Now, when it comes to exactly what will happen on the official level, that remains to be seen. It remains to be seen exactly what are the concrete things that the United States plans to do with these African countries to make this, like I said, more than just a forum to discuss things that we already know, we're just not addressing.
Now, Calvin, the United States Special Assistant to President Biden did announce that Mali, Burkina Faso, Sudan and Guinea will be excluded from attending the summit. Was any reason given for this, and what impact would it have on respective countries? I do know that they said civil society organizations from these respective countries will be allowed to attend.
Well, that was obviously a very difficult question as to who you issue invitations to, right? But I think the measure that the United States used was it was probably the easiest and the most understandable, and that is the countries that are in good standing with the African Union, which is why those four countries that were mentioned were excluded. But I also just want to point out that one of the other reasons why they had to use that measure is if we said, for example, we don't want to have autocratic country leaders or human rights abusers or
military governments also. Yes.
Right. If we had set that standard, there would be a lot of other countries that may not even be able to attend. And hey, if you apply those same standards, the U.S. might not even be allowed to attend its own summit. So I think going by the African Union good standing was the best diplomatic practice to choose the countries that are invited.
Now, finally, the United States has seized this summit as an opportunity to strengthen ties with Africa. But the United States is not the only country that has a summit, an annual summit with Africa. There's a UK-Africa Summit. There's also a China-Africa Summit. There's Russia-Africa Summit. There's Turkey-Africa Summit. Just name it. And you have this block of African leaders flying to Western Asian capitals to meet with this. What do African leaders need to do to start having a mutually beneficial relationship with all those countries that see Africa as the beautiful bride?
Well, like I said, I think it's an important thing that all of these countries, these superpowers, are looking to Africa to recognize its importance on several levels. What I hope African leaders and the delegations they send do is to really, develop partnerships on the government public level, but also in the private sector level, so that when they go back to their home countries, there will be partnerships. So that I think the end goal is that African countries can be self-sufficient in ways that they are not. And you know what? I hope that before long we'll have an Africa U.S. summit where where African countries invite the United States and vice versa. That's where I think the partnership should go to, but there's work to get that done.
Thank you very much, Kelvin Duck. Always a pleasure speaking with you. We do appreciate your time and insights on the subject. Thank you.